Freeholder Estrada.
Present.
Freeholder Granados.
Present.
Freeholder Kowalski.
Here.
Freeholder Mirabella.
Present.
Freeholder Wright.
Present.
Vice Chairman Jallo. Chairman Hudak.
Present.
Chairman, you have 7 freeholders present.
Jim, please read the prayer and the salute to the flag.
Humbly we ask God, the giver of peace and the lover of charity, to give the entire family of nations true agreement with his will, and to grant the light of his Spirit on all who work for justice and peace. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jim, please read the statement of compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act.
The Chair wishes to announce that pursuant to requirements of New Jersey statutes annotated, Title 10, Chapter 4, Section 10 of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting of the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Union has been given by mailing the annual meeting schedule for the year 2014, along with periodic changes necessitated by circumstances, to the newspapers circulating within the County of Union who are designated to receive such notice, and by posting the annual meeting schedule for the year 2014 in the Administration Building, and further by filing the annual meeting schedule for the year 2014 with the Office of the County Clerk.
Okay, first on the agenda for next week, we have the approval of communications, which we'll adopt at next week's regular meeting. And first, we have the Office of the Union County Sheriff. And County Council, are you taking questions on those resolutions?
We were, Chairman, we were told that Under Sheriff Crime would be here tonight.
Oh, okay. Oh, if the Undersheriff gets here, we'll come back to that.
Okay.
In the meantime, we'll move on to the Department of Administrative Services. Norm Albert, please.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. The department has one resolution on the agenda, and I'd be happy to address any questions you might have.
Freeholders, any questions for Norm? Thank you, Norm.
Thank you.
Department of Economic Development, Deputy County Manager Bill Reyes. Come on down.
Good evening, Chairman, freeholders. I have the Department of Economic Development has 5 items for your consideration. I'm prepared to answer any questions you may have.
Freeholders, any questions for Director Reyes? Freeholder Estrada.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Bill, number 1, number 2, is associated with the Lake Service Surprise dam. Is it, I guess the first was the award of the action project.
That's correct.
And when is Spike supposed to start and when it's supposed to be?
Just to, before you ask the other question too, the second one is actually the inspection and the administration of the construction for the other project. So I'll bring up Tom to let you know as far as the timeline for the project.
Freeholders, any other questions for Director Reyes? Oh, I'm sorry. Lost my train of thought there. Freeholder.
Okay, the timeline right now, we've just awarded the contract, and the contractor plans to begin construction in before June. He has to start doing work in the lake itself because of the season for the fish, etc. And then the timeline is scheduled to be completed in no more than a year and a half, but we're optimistic next summer it should be completed, toward the end of next summer. Yes.
Freeholder Mirabella.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the same topic, but not necessarily related to an agenda item, what's the sequence of other dams that you, your amendments talking about and go through to do all these rough dam parks?
Yes, every 2 years we were required by the DEP, Department of Dam Safety, to do an inspection of all our dams, all 12 dams. And this particular dam's the only one that was in poor enough condition to require rebuilding and replacing. The other ones are under, every year we maintain them and do various improvements, maintenance to them. This particular dam is very old and it needs replacement.
When it starts, how long will it be till it finishes?
I put in a spec 18 months, but they're telling me it'll take only a year. but there's always a surprise, so I don't want to be overly optimistic.
Thank you. Thank you.
Freeholders, any other questions? Freeholder Granados.
Thank you, Chairman. In reference to number 4, can you further elaborate on the general economic development services that can be provided to private businesses?
Oh, sure. Yes, I can. General and economic development services include loans to small businesses, economic and demographic reports, business financial literacy classes, general business monitoring, and special projects for Union County.
Freeholder Kowalski.
Yes, and Chairman, I might add that the UCEDC has received awards as the leading lender to small businesses and recognized for the quality of its work, so I heartily endorse this.
Excellent. Freeholder Estrada, anything?
Quickly, number 4 and 5, what is that? Is that an increase from last year, or is it the same?
Number 4 is an increase. They've held steady for several years at 60,000, and to be able to just do what they do without cutting back services, they asked for an additional 10, but they haven't seen an increase in quite a few years. And number 5 is actually the same amount.
Thank you.
Freeholders, any other questions for the Deputy County Manager? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have the Department of Finance. Eric Macias.
Evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. The Finance Department has 4 resolutions for your consideration. I would be happy to answer any of your questions.
Freeholders, any questions on the Department of Finance resolutions? They're all resolutions modifying the 2014 budget, correct?
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. All right, so these are the notices of grants, all 4 of them, I believe, right? Or at least some of them at the bottom.
Yeah.
So, any money that we receive is not offsetting any money that's already in the budget. Is that right?
The monies we receive, it's going to be set up as an appropriation, and the same amount it's going to be set up as a revenue for the amounts you see here, and an appropriation for the same amount would be set up as well. So any appropriations that's going to increase the budget will be set off by any revenues coming
Right,
in.
so there's no reduction in taxes or reduction in the budget. So ultimately, money coming in, appropriated, and then money going out.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just have a feeling that question may come up, and I was thinking
Okay.
in advance, however many times we answer it, that will stick.
Okay.
Thank you, that's not good.
Okay.
Thank you, Eric. Any other questions or queries on the resolutions from Finance? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
And we will move on to the Department of Human Services, our most tenured director, Frank Gozzo.
Mr. Chairman and members of the board, the Department of Human Services has 6 resolutions on for your consideration.
Director, I say that with all affection.
I felt it walking up here. 6 resos on for your consideration, and I will do my best to answer any questions you have at this time.
All right, team, anything rapid fire for Director Gozzo? Elder Granados, do not fight the urge. Please ask your question.
What do you call, in reference to, I guess 1 through 3, what's the reasoning behind changing the name of the trust fund?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, it's just to basically reflect what the name is under the bylaws. There's a difference between what it's called in the bylaws and what the resolution originally said. So we're just aligning the proper name. As you see, it's like it was homelessness, but it should be homeless. So we're just aligning those words to match what the bylaws say.
Freeholder Estrada?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Frank, on Steen Senior County, whatever. Steen. All right, now, there's a contract here with Trinitas. It has to do with number 6, with the Ducks. Now, are they, number 6? No, wait a minute, I'm on the wrong page or what? Hold on a second. That was supposed to be-
Is it the 131,
Hold on.
131,000?
I'm sorry, I have found it. Number 6, authorizing a contract with $131,223 with Trinitas Regional Medical Center. Do they have a similar? I'm sure that's a flow through, right? We get it from the federal government and we pay them. Do they have the same kind of a contract whereby it's a specific amount regardless of its use, or no?
Through you again, Mr. Chairman, this is, it is a flow, it's sort of it is a pass-through in a sense to where the county gets the entire amount of money, and then we need to have a vendor that's able to contract out for the medical and mental health services. And Trinitas is that vendor that we use for those purposes. It is based on usage from the previous year, and they submit a proposal and cost to us, and then we allocate the dollars based on what we get from the federal government.
So, if we have the number of kids that we have in the program, it has changed throughout the year. So therefore, the demand for their services may not be up to par to use these amount of dollars. That means that they get paid regardless?
No,
Or, no.
Now, unlike how the federal government pays us,
Right.
as you know, we receive dollars for 10 beds, whether they're used or not. In this particular instance, we put a contract together, and they submit based on use.
On use.
So whatever is available then lapses over into the subsequent year.
Right, so in some other means, if we needed more money to cover their needs, then we would have to then go back to the government, and which I'm sure is part of our contract, that they would probably make sure that we get paid for whatever we use. Okay,
That would be correct.
thank you.
Freeholders, any other queries? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Andy Moran, the Director of Public Safety.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the Freeholder Board. Department of Public Safety has one resolution on for your consideration. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Would you just quickly describe what this grant is for?
This grant is used to finance a portion of our health department, the environmental section that does pesticide inspections, underground storage tank inspections at gas stations, and truck idling enforcement. It's actually part 2 of a 2-part grant through our CHA. The state has broken up this grant. Historically, we've always gotten this grant in one allotment. They took the core capabilities portion of it and made that a fiscal year. And these elective components of the grant are still a calendar year.
And when you said underground storage tanks, are those are the gas stations that they have, are they randomly inspected, or is it a service where a business owner can call ahead of a sale? What's
They're inspected each year,
Okay.
the underground storage tanks in gas stations, and
it's a required inspection?
it's required. They check the documentation on the storage tanks and actually do a physical inspection to assure that there's
Who
no
does the
breaches.
actual inspection?
Excuse me?
Who does the actual inspection?
Our personnel in environment.
Okay. Great. Freeholders, any other questions on that resolution? Thank you. Director Graziano, the Department of Public Works and Facilities.
Good evening, Chairman, Freeholders. The department has 6 resolutions on tonight for your consideration, and I'll try and answer any questions you have.
Freeholders, any questions or comments for the director? Freeholder Kowalski.
I'd just like the director to extend to your staff thanks for the great work last night, and of course also to Director Moran, because our emergency management and public works staff are the people who unseen often, but they're out there late at night when we've got the threat of a flood or some other emergency. So nice work, and thanks to all.
Thank you, Freeholder.
Freeholders, any other questions? Thank you, Director.
Thank you, Chairman.
And we have the Runnels Specialized Hospital. Evening, Sandy.
Good evening, Chairman Hudak and Freeholder Board. I have one resolution for your consideration for this evening, and I would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
So this is the renewal of the rehab contract that we entered into with last year?
Yes, yes, with Genesis Rehabilitation Services.
Now, just, given, our current process with Runnels, that this contract, regardless of the fact that we're extending it till May 15th May 31st of 2015, if we decide to, continuation with the sale, that contract will just go away. We're not going to have an obligation.
May I
Oh, sure.
ask Mr. Berry, the clause is usually 30 days in the county contracts.
termination provision and would serve notice, as we would in several contracts.
Great. Thank you.
And it's not to exceed, so the only thing they can actually do is bill us for actual services rendered and not to exceed a certain amount. So whatever that the services that they provide are the only ones they can bill for.
Okay, very good. Director Estrada, you had a question? Oh, my goodness.
I'm honored. It's all right.
Freeholder Estrada.
Only kidding. A quick question.
Yes.
Now, I noticed that this has not to exceed $1.8 million.
That is correct.
I thought that the majority of the usage by the rehab services were billed to the individual's insurance. Is this the ones that don't cover, or what is this? Why are we making that expenditure?
Actually, they are billed to us, and then we pay them, because we get a rate, and
Bundle
it's
rate, okay.
through our system, our resource utilization groups, and where they fall, and there's different rates for different treatments and how many minutes of treatments and things like that. So it's hard, they have to then bill us for the different levels of patients. In each category, there's different prices for how much resources we're using of theirs between the physical therapy, the speech therapy, and the occupational therapy.
If we compare this year to last year, what was last year's expenditures on this account?
Last year, the contract is up at the end of this month,
Right.
and we've spent about almost $1,700,000. And the actual not-to-exceed number we have here is about $3,000 and change less than what we had in the contract in the resolution for last year.
And would you be able to tell me of the 1.7 million that was 1.7 that was last year, how much of that money was recouped or billed, or is that possible to work it backwards?
We would put the numbers together, and with the patients, I think we could probably do a project and find out for you.
It's not that-
I don't have that information here, but I'd be
You don't
more
have
than...
it, it's okay, that's fine.
Thank you, Freeholder, and I apologize for either promoting or demoting you. I'm not sure which I did.
Yes,
So-
as you know, I've been director in many different positions.
Matter of
I
opinion,
also-
I guess, right?
Combination of director is nothing that my ear's not used to listening to.
I understand. Any other questions for the director?
Yes.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much, Sandra. County Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Office of the County Manager has one resolution for your consideration, and will attempt to answer any questions you may have.
Freeholders, any questions for the County Manager? Thank you. Nothing from County Council. We have Freeholder-sponsored resolutions. I will have some advisory board appointments. Jim, if you could please note that. Freeholders, any additional resolutions, friendly amendments. Freeholder Kowalski?
I could join Freeholder Wright on number 4, if that's all right with her. And you, Chairman Hudak, on number 13, please.
Okay. Yes, Freeholder Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would suggest to you and to my colleagues on the board that we all join number 14, establishing and adopting a responsible contracting policy.
I think that's a good idea. Is everyone agreeable to that?
Yes.
Thank you. Freeholder Wright?
Yes, I'd like to have a resolution added for next week as a result of our policy meeting.
Excellent. Mr. Clerk, if you could please note that. Freeholder Granados or Bergen?
For number 7, if I could be at, well, Vice Chairman Mohammed Jalal is not here today. But if I'm to number 7, number 8.
Excellent.
And I have a lot of terror. Yeah.
What's that? And you'll be adding a little bit. Freeholder Estrada?
Can I make a suggestion on this resolutions where we are participating, like, for example, as part of the Portugal Day Committee and the Rubio for Progress? And we make it from the whole, or the Cubans, the whole entire board.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea. I guess it's done that way because of it originates from the fiscal committee. But I think it would be appropriate going forward, Mr. Clerk, if we're sponsoring and doing a resolution, perhaps a parade, that should come from the entire board.
Duly noted. Thank you, Chairman.
Anything else, Freeholders? Excellent. So there is a need to go into an executive session, and County Council, would you kindly read your statement relative to tonight's executive session?
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, the public body may go into executive session for the purpose of discussing certain enumerated subjects. The board now wishes to enter executive session for the purpose of discussing ongoing contract negotiations between the Union County Improvement Authority and Center Management Group pursuant to the RFPQ process on the potential sale of Reynolds Specialized Hospital, and attorney-client privilege communication and ongoing contract negotiations by and between the County of Union and the Union County Improvement Authority for the purchase and sale of Reynolds Specialized Hospital. The minutes of the executive session shall be separated from the minutes of the open public session. Minutes of the executive session redacted as appropriate and necessary shall be available in approximately 30 days. Clerk to the board shall retain the original minutes until such time as confidential limitations have been removed, at which time they shall be made available. Upon the affirmative vote of a majority of the members present, the board may retire to executive session. Upon the board's return, given this is an agenda meeting, it will not take any formal action on the matters discussed.
May I have a motion to move into executive session?
Second.
The motion was made by Freeholder Mirabella, and it was seconded by Freeholder Kowalski. Jim, if you could kindly read the roll.
Freeholder Bergen?
Yes.
Freeholder Estrada?
Yes.
Freeholder Granados?
Yes.
Freeholder Kowalski?
Yes.
Freeholder Mirabella? Freeholder Wright?
Yes.
And Chairman Hudak?
Aye.
Chairman, you have 7 votes in the affirmative.
We are now in executive session.
Doesn't have a license yet.
There he is.
You're in.
That's a demerit.
Now the party can start.
Now may I have a motion
So moved, Mr.
to
Chairman.
come back?
Second.
Motion was made again by Freeholder Mirabella, and once again seconded by Freeholder Kowalski. Mr. Clerk, would you kindly read the roll?
Certainly. Freeholder Bergen?
Yes.
Freeholder Estrada?
Yes.
Freeholder Granados?
Yes.
Freeholder Kowalski?
Yes.
Freeholder Mirabella? Freeholder Wright?
Yes.
Chairman Hudak?
Aye.
Chairman, you have 7 votes in the affirmative.
Excellent. County Council.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As a result of the discussions in executive session, I may have 2 resolutions for next week's agenda dealing with the sale and purchase of, potential sale and purchase of Reynolds Specialized Hospital, one dealing with the Improvement Authority, one dealing with Center Management.
Thank you, County Council.
You're welcome.
Freeholders, County Manager Viola informed me that Under Sheriff Cryan apologized he could not make it to the meeting this evening. Allen, seconded by Freeholder Wright. All in favor?
Aye.
You're adjourned.